our YouTube connection. And that also is live in just 30 seconds. Okay. Okay, I've just hit the go live button. So we are now live on YouTube, live on transcription, and we are recording. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our presiding officer, Sean Walker. Other than introducing guest Sean, let's limit introduction so that we can keep it tight, okay?
Well, we won't. We can go ahead and do a quick 10-second introduction, but I'll go ahead and start. Greetings. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Club Voice, where we are the right choice for your learning, communication, and leadership development. I am the acting Sergeant of Arms here today. For the benefit of this club, I will ask that you take out your cell phone and put it in the silent mode, because we do not want to disturb our wonderful meeting that we have in store for you today. That's right, we have a wonderful meeting in store for you today. So if you can go ahead and just put it in the silent mode where you can still receive calls, but we don't want to disturb our meeting. I will now ask that you please stand or stay in your seat. However, we are going to honor our country with a pledge, and I will lead that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to take this time. Normally we read a quote. I won't read a quote, but we're going to do a quick self-introduction, because this is the Toastmasters way of conducting business. So I will start with our Toastmaster member, Patricia. Can you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
My name is Patricia. I've been in Toastmasters Club for almost a year, maybe over a year. I'm not keeping a record. I'm a cosmetologist, and I'm here to develop my skill as a leader and a coach. And that's my speech for today.
We will now, thank you for that, Toastmaster Patricia. Toastmaster Kip Barkley, can you please unmute and introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley, coming to you from Jasper, Georgia, wherever that is. I'm sitting in a cabin thing and seems to have good internet. Glad to be here.
Thank you for that, Toastmaster Kip Barkley. Next up is Toastmaster Roosevelt. Please unmute yourself and introduce.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, Dorsette. My name is Roosevelt Francois. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster with this club, the only one where I found my voice. And I'm so glad to be your treasurer. Today I'll be your Toastmaster, and I will be speaking as well. Back to you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you for that, Toastmaster Roosevelt. And our guest, our dignitary, can you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and welcome to our club?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. I am Distinguished Toastmaster Deandre Dorsette, and I hail all the way from the Bahamas. And it is indeed a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I would like to thank Distinguished Toastmaster Andy Byrne for the invite. I am excited. Because this is my first time, and I love this program. I've been here for about 7 years in this organization, and I just love the whole atmosphere, the family atmosphere that we have. So I look forward to a wonderful time.
And that you will have. Thank you, Madam Dignitary. And next up is Toastmaster Andy Byrne. Please unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody in the land of YouTube and in our club. My name is Andy Byrne. I am the current Vice President of Education for this club, and I have been with this club for about 6 years, been in Toastmasters for 9, have earned my DTM ×2, have been the past club growth director in numerous other roles at the club area, division, and district level. It's my pleasure to be with this club. I welcome everybody out there to tell your friends, come join our club. We have a lot to offer. Go ahead, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you for that, Mr. BPE, Andy Byrne. And my name is Sean Walker, and I've been in Toastmasters for 9 years. I've been a part of this club for 2.5 years, and this has been an amazing journey to be here in the position I am as your presiding officer. What a great feat for myself, because I didn't see myself as a president, but that's what Toastmaster does. We put you up to the plate, put you up to the challenge, we throw you in the deep end, and that's where you learn to kick your legs and your feet, and you will swim and succeed at Toastmasters organization meeting. We have a wonderful program for you guys. I'm excited to have all you guys. I welcome all you guys to this program today. We're going to get started right now. But before we do that, we are going to have a VPE moment. And VPE means Vice President Educational Moment. Please take it away, Dr. Andy Byrne.
Thank you very much, Sean. I'm going to spend just a minute or two showing you some things that we have not done before in the club, and we're going to try learning about during this club meeting. The first is we're going to be playing with polls. This is what we're covering. The first poll, prior emails identify the fact that TI has granted our request for coaches, and the 2 coaches that have been appointed are CC Esbute and Marsha Sims, both highly qualified. The second poll is dealing with the officers that we have currently and for the future for next year. And Sean, I'll entertain a motion, if you could read this, that we will deal with everybody's answer on this question. Sean, can you see this?
I can see the screen. Yes, I can see the screen. I'll now make a motion for the club officers. We are going to freeze our officers, our current officers that's in this club until June, with the exception of one of our club members that will be transitioning from the Sergeant of Arms to the BPPR, which is Hyvell Davis Ferguson. I have a motion on the floor.
Second. Second.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Third it.
Third it.
Okay.
Third.
And then the voting will take place when we launch the poll. The third poll that we're going to talk about is the motion to spend up to $350 if club members don't actually have this equipment to purchase a Logitech Brio camera or equivalent for a hybrid meeting and tripod and a remote mic when we go into that coming up. The last polling thing that we'll use is to speed up the process of voting on the speakers, table topics, and evaluators. So those are the things I wanted to introduce that are new. The last two things I wanted to mention that we talked about in the pre-meeting was that I have turned on active transcription. So everything that's being said is being transcribed. This will help out members when they want to review the meeting and see how their speech was going. It'll be able to allow them to put their speech through a test program that allows you to tell you how much of this is plagiarized, how much of this is original, and a program like Grammarly, which tells you how accurate your speech was in both grammar and other words. So we're trying that out. And lastly, I want to remind everybody that we are doing this on YouTube Live to reach a wider audience and increase our membership. Be careful of what you say. I can't take it back if it's going live. All right, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you for that wonderful VTE moment.
Presiding Officer, regarding one of the motions, as in terms of the equipment, this is the responsibility of the treasurer. I would like the VPE to pass it into business. This is not the VPE moment. This should be into business. That is something to be voted in the business moment.
Yeah, we really had a business meeting and not a VP moment here. I can tell the difference.
We were talking about polls and introducing the concept of polls. We're going to be doing the actual voting that you can lead during a business meeting later on. I was introducing the concepts that we weren't dealing with about polls for clarification.
Oh, yay.
Okay, now that we clarified that issue, we can now begin our program. And just like all programs, we have to have a master of ceremony. And today we have just that for you. And we have a great master of ceremony. Club Voice, please put your hands together for our very own master of ceremony, Roosevelt Jean Francois.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, good afternoon and welcome to Club Voice, where you find your voice. Today, as your Toastmaster, I will be the master of ceremony. That means I will make sure we follow protocol and we follow the program. And as any Toastmasters meeting, we have three main components. First, we have self-introduction, which is a moment very important where we practice our self-introductions. We know about you, what you do, where you're from. And the second moment is where we will define our roles as team members. Today, we do have a couple of helpers, and I will start by asking Toastmaster Sean, as our timer, what will be your role?
Thank you for that, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. The purpose of the timer is to keep the meeting moving smooth. We have to have an organized time frame that we operate out of. How I will do this is at the minimum required time frame, I will show you a green light. At the medium, I will show you a yellow light. At the maximum amount of time, for all three segments, I will show you a red light. And after that, you will have 30 seconds to wrap up or we will clap you off. And that's how we run our timing system at this club. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. As well, we have a grammarian and Toastmaster Patricia Brown. What will be your role?
I'm a grammarian today, and the grammarian responsibility is to introduce new words, listen for good uses of the grammar, and my word for today is arboreal. It's an adjective and it's of or relating to trees.
Back to you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Patricia Brown. We also have a body language monitor, Dr. Andrew Bell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. The purpose of the body language monitor is to see how each of you are framed in your camera, how you use your facial expressions, your hand expressions. Body language accounts for 55% of your message, and it's important that we provide feedback to you on how you're doing for that 55%.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Andrew Bell. We also have an outstanding guest today. Maybe you might be in a position to help us. Toastmaster Dorsette, would you like to be our counter, please?
I am actually the counter, and the purpose of the counter is to raise awareness of the use of pause fillers, sound, the crutches, long pauses, and repetition of words in a sentence structure that may interject or distract from the speaker's message. So I will be counting all of those ahs, you knows, so-sos. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Now we know we have a team. We have already presented ourselves. We have prepared speeches, and what
Do we have evaluators? That's our
as
big question.
that will be coming. Distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley, let the Toastmaster run the show.
Run the show.
We also have 3 speeches. That means we have also evaluators. General evaluator. Do we have evaluators assigned to each speaker, please?
No, we're missing a couple. Sean Walker is evaluating speaker number 2, Roosevelt Jean-Francois. We need evaluators for speaker 1, Patricia, and speaker 3, Kip Barkley. I could evaluate Patricia, but we need somebody.
We will put distinguished Toastmaster Dorsette to work. She is good.
Okay, Kip Barkley is doing a level 3 connect through storytelling.
Would you mind evaluating distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley, distinguished Toastmaster Dorsette? That's a yes?
That's great. I'll do it.
Thank you. Now, fellow Toastmasters, we start with our prepared speech section. And our first speaker today is an amazing fellow Toastmaster, very active and always delivering speeches. And today, let's hear from Toastmaster Patricia Brown.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, my speech today is the way it is. It's from my Level 2 Innovation Planning, Introduction to Mastering and Mentoring. The way it is. Guidance is very important in our everyday development as we propel through life. My first mentor was my parents. My second mentor was my kindergarten, high school, and college. Going on to my career. Let me start by identifying my parents. My parents was my grandmother. She was an entrepreneur. She was a vendor. She was someone who would take care of the community and the things that normal people did not have. She sell ice for cooling beverages. She sell coal for cooking. In those days, everyone didn't have electric stove, gas stove. So she sell coal, and we didn't have refrigerator. So she sell block of ice. She was my first mentor. I didn't realize that it was identify as mentoring. But as I grew older, I realized, oh, she was my protege. She was my coach. She was my coach and I was her protege. I went on to high school. I was a track and field person. I was a netball player. I was excited in school. I learned to cook. I couldn't wait to go home to share my first baked cake. Teachers were in place and they volunteered their lives to mentor us. Without them, I don't think we could have propelled to the next level. They volunteered their times, even though they were paid. I learned to appreciate them for being there to coach me, to mentor me. As I propelled to my career, we had mentors like my career. And as I grew more and more into the business of my cosmetology, I becomes part of the leadership. The leadership role was to help other stylists propel in their career. So it is the way. I was fearful of speaking in a crowd or speaking amongst people. So a friend of mine told me about Toastmasters, where I could learn to develop my skill as a protege, and they will provide mentors and coaches. Going back to reading, that mentorship is very important in our upbringing. I read where in high school, they have developed a program for future leaders who seems to be faltering to drop out of school. So they formed that program. So in everything that we do need leaders, we need coaches, we need mentors. I'm here in Toastmasters, and Sean is my coach. Kip, I call occasionally for guidance as my mentor. So I identify him as someone who I contact regular. So he's my coach. He's my mentor. And Sean, who is my coach, I will call him and he would refer me to Kip and anyone else in the group to help me with what I need to understand. I would say I am very privileged to be here. I still find myself, as Sean once coached me on evaluation, that I should not be nervous anymore, but I still do. I don't know why I get all flustered when it's time for me to read my speech, but with regular visit to the club, taking part into activities as I'm the grammarian today, listen properly, I am open to being mentored, coached, because I'm the protege. And I am waiting, and I'm very excited to say I've been here 5 years. I can't wait. I'm only I'm only a year. So when I look back at all the mentors and coaches, years of experience, I know with my faltering, I will get there. I can't wait. I just need to connect myself more to my mentor and my coach for my training. Back to you, Mr. Toastmasters.
Amazing speech. Thank you, Toastmaster Brown. Please share your love notes, your reactions, your virtual reactions with Toastmaster Brown. Our next speaker will share his own experience on leading teams from the Leadership Development Path, Level 4. Distinguished Toastmaster Roosevelt Jean-Francois will share his speech on leading. On leading, Distinguished Toastmaster Roosevelt Jean-Francois. Mr. Timer, that will be a 5 to 7. Will you please give me the timing requirement for the speech?
Yes, sir. Mr. Francois, you will have a green light at 5 minutes. At 6 minutes, you will have a yellow light. And 7 minutes, you will get the red. And after that, you will have 30 seconds to wrap up, or you will be disqualified. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Effective leadership is to take you from where you are to where you want to go. What took you here will not take you there. Barry Goldsmith. Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, the purpose of this speech is to reflect to the recent position that I have been elected on. Sometimes things happen and you take time to reflect, to ponder, to see the journey, the coursework that you have done, and also to see the road that lay ahead. And today, based on the path leadership development, I found level 4, the path of working with teams, a very important one while I'm reflecting on my path right here. On leading teams, I will be sharing with you my story up to now with Toastmasters, and also what I want to share ahead with you. Leading is the opportunity that you have to share your gifts, your talents, and abilities with others. But leadership is also about being effective when you put people together for a common cause, to share common values, and as well to distinct yourself ahead of the pack. It is said that leadership is influence. And as well, it is building teams, because if you have to do it by yourself, you may not be a leader. A leader is about putting teams together and also to fulfill a world where we are heading together. January 2013, I joined Toastmasters, just coming from Haiti in a position where I wanted to develop my speaking ability. It was at the beginning, as I said earlier, about my self-development, about my ability to face issues that I was having in words that I wanted to put together in English. And as well, I discovered it is more about service, helping others. And the more I get involved, the more I understand also, this is not an organization that you come and take, but also you need to contribute. You have responsibilities and you have duties. As the Toastmasters vision is to help individuals to develop their best, to have their greatest that they can build to the world. My journey with the club, with the area level, and as your logistics manager at the district, help me understand that you start by fulfilling those responsibilities, not by yourself, but with teams. Building teams is very important in what we do together. We are people coming apart from each other, different personalities, different background. And since we are aiming to the same target, how can we bring everyone together? And this is the quality of effective leadership. And to do so, it's important to have specific goals that we are shooting together. How can we build a team together? This year, as division director, my role is more about putting a team of area directors together that will work with several clubs for this division to have and to become president distinguished. That is the goal. This is a goal that is specific, which is measurable. We have some numbers that we need to attain. And this is a goal that is attainable based on the quality of the leaders that we have in our division. One thing I learned last year is that for you to go to a place, you need to also follow someone who has been there. In this club, I am walking on shoulders of giants. We have distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley, my coach, my mentor, who in 2013 welcomed me in this club. And also we have distinguished Toastmaster Andrew Burr, our Vice President of Education, who has been exactly in the shoes that I will be wearing coming July 1st to June 2022. Coaching is about learning from others, because if you haven't been coached, how could you coach others? Basically, those are the things that I learned as effective leadership. This is this ability where you can set specific goals, and also you have to work with teams. And the way you work with teams is that ability that you have to delegate tasks, responsibilities. And as one said, not only you delegate, but also you check and verify that the tasks, responsibilities that you have delegated to be done, they have done in a timely manner. Fellow Toastmasters, I am motivated to fulfill, and that's why you need leadership, because the weight that you will have to lift is heavier than the weight that you have so far left. 2021, 2022 will be amazing on leading and on reflecting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Now, thank you, Toastmaster Jean-Francois. Now, this is with pleasure, I will introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is a seasoned Toastmaster. And one question I have for you: Did you hear anything in the news? Anything? Last week, our speaker was on Las Olas Boulevard in Broward. He was minding his own business when strange things happened. Here to share with us the tale of the brass rat is distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley. The tale of the brass rat. Distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley.
Thank you, Toastmaster Roosevelt, Jean, Francois, and guests. Yes, I was down at the Riverside Hotel, that's on Los Olas, some sort of Toastmasters meeting, I forget what it was. And they finally wound down, and I just wandered out the front door, went across the street. Now, there's an artisan's arcade out there, a bunch of little shops. I went walking through there. And inside one, I saw a very beautiful lady. Well, I had to go in and like browse. I did. Well, it was some kind of new age shop. I mean, they had the crystals and the incense and the books on ancient stuff and trinkets, all this kind of thing. And I looked around at all this stuff, and I noticed to the back there was this solitary table, and perched on it was a foot-high brass rat. It just sat there, this brass rat. I said, I got to have this. So I whipped out my credit card, approached this lady, and I said, hey, I got to have this rat. Take my money. She looked to both sides and whispered to me, once you purchase this, you cannot bring it back. Oh. Well, I thought, well, I know these places. They don't want their trinkets back. So I said, fine, I'll take it. So she bagged this up, rung up my card, handed me my package. I stepped out the store and click, the door closed behind me. Very strange. This was only 6:30. There's going to be traffic on Los Olas for hours. What is going on around here? So, well, okay. Well, I like Los Olas. I think I would just stroll down towards the beach to the Riverside Diner. Yes, that's down the other side of the Hammershee Canal. I can go past all those highly priced shops and restaurants, have a lovely little stroll. So I start walking along. You know, they got these hedges along Los Olas. They're very arboreal about doing that kind of thing there. And it's very nice and landscaped. And I did see a little shimmer to the bushes, but well, okay. So I kept on walking, and I got down to the Asian bistro, and sitting in there, I saw Jean-Francois Roosevelt having a fine time in there going, I mean, he's good with chopsticks. You wouldn't think that, but you know, and then one of the waiters was just frantically sweeping around, you know, and I thought that's good. They keep the place clean. I like Los Olas is a good place to be. So I started walking down a little ways down, got a little closer to the park there, and started hearing some noises and looking around. But then I looked up, and there came Sean Walker doing his Uber drive. He had on that funny afro hat, and he obviously picked up two ladies with entirely too much money. And he waved at me, and I waved at them, and off they went. I'm just continuing on down Los Olas here, and I'm hearing noises. And I'm looking around. Now I'm up to about 9th Street. Now there's the Europa Cafe in there. I look, Patricia Brown was in there sipping one of those fancy coffees. She likes it. She didn't tell you she likes those fancy coffees. And I waved at her, and she waved at me. And I looked around, and I saw coming across the street a rat. Oh, disgusting. And kind of moved a little faster down there, gotten closer to the Northern Trust Bank. There's a bit right next door, they're building something, yet another store. It's construction, wires, fences, and I saw more rats coming out of there. Like, what is going on around here on Los Olas? So I was walking even faster, and these rats, they came out all out into the street. There was bunches and bunches of rats. And then I looked under my arm and, oh, this brass rat thing, they're coming for this. Well, there I was, almost up at the riverside. And there's the Hammersea Canal. So I run to that bridge, a little bridge goes right over. Yeah, you know where it is. And splash, I throw this brass rat into the canal. And then all the rats, all jumping into the canal. And they all drowned. Hey, we all lived happily ever after. How about that? What was all this about? Well, I want to find out one more thing. I got one more question. So I'm going back down to Los Olas about 6 o'clock. Next time I'm in town, I'm going to look for that lady. I like looking at that lady. I'm going to ask her just one question. What do you think that question's going to be? The lady, do you have a brass lawyer? Mr. Toastmaster.
Fellow Toastmaster, really, let's put our hands, our heart, our mind together for distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley. Amazing tall tale, we appreciate it. And now, Mr. Timer, can you tell us how did our speakers do and give us your timing report?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Patricia Brown spoke for 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Roosevelt Francois spoke for 7 minutes and 22 seconds. Kip Barkley spoke for 5 minutes and 22 seconds, all within the required time frame. You can now put it in the books. They're all qualified. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
And I invite you, if you want to vote, to send your vote to our guest, distinguished Toastmaster Dorsette. You will be working because those folks are from Florida. We do not trust them that much. We prefer the islanders. Now is the moment where we will be having impromptu speeches. This is the moment we call table topics, which is a trademark for Toastmasters International, to invite you for 1 or 2 minutes and to be part of a conversation. And to lead us in table topics, here is distinguished Toastmaster, Dr. Andrew Bear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. The timer will tell us what Toastmasters time frame that we're going to be working with. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Topic Master. The framework is as follows. At 1 minute, you will get a green light. 1 minute, you'll get a green light. At 1:30, you will get a yellow light. Yellow light. At 2 minutes, you will get a red light, which is the maximum amount of time that you have to speak. You'll get a red light. After that, you will have a 30-second deviation period. If you speak beyond that 30-second deviation period, you will be clapped off. Back to you, Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you very much. Because we're running 10 minutes behind, I'll limit it to 2 people. The first question goes to our guest, Dorsette. Suppose you could go back in time and talk to yourself at age 10. What advice would you give yourself?
Thank you so much for that question. Age 10, believe it or not, I've been 30 for a long time. So I do not necessarily remember age 10. But if I was to guess about Deandre at age 10, I would probably say, enjoy life, be a kid. It's not your job to take on so many responsibilities because you have parents. You have parents who take care of you. You have everyone around you who love you and would be willing to help you in that way. I oftentimes think that because of my independence, because of my maturity level, because of the things that I want for myself and others, I oftentimes take on that role and that responsibility to ensure that we all get there. So if I was to think about Deandre at age 10, I think I would tell her, relax a little. Enjoy life. You do not have to do it all. Thank you so much for that question.
Thank you very much. Our next table topic goes to Pat Brown. Tell us about your last New Year's Eve resolution. Last New Year's Eve resolution.
My last year resolution. Funny enough, I never make them. The reason why I don't make them is because I remember years ago when I left Jamaica, went to England. In Jamaica, we don't do resolution. We just live, do what we have to do. So everybody was talking about resolution, and I make a long list only to never scratch one off. I was continuing to do what I know. So now I silently make them. I don't make them list. I silently make them. The last year, I really and truly just plan silently, not make the resolution, not tell anyone about it either. Back to you.
Okay, Mr. Table Topics Master, I turn this over to the
Timer
evaluator for the next component of the thing after the timer report.
Thank you, Mr. Topic Master. The timer report is as follows. Toastmaster Dorsette came in at 104. We have a tie. Toastmaster Brown came in at 104. Both just making the required time frame. Back to you, Mr. Topic Master.
Mr. General Evaluator, would you please conclude your portion?
I will do that. I'll start it before I conclude it, but we're going to do it all in order. Yes, indeed. Evaluation is what makes Toastmasters really special. So I ask our timer, though, to make sure it's not too long in the special. What kind of timing requirements we got?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, the requirements are 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, you will get the green. At 2:30, you will get the yellow. At 3 minutes, you will get the red. And after that, you will have a 30-second deviation. After that point, if you do not make that time, we will clap you off. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now to evaluate Toastmaster Patricia Brown is Toastmaster Kip Barkley. Yay! All right. Thank you, everyone, and thank you especially Patricia. Congratulations. This is your final speech at level 2, mentoring. And unlike some other people, you read the project and followed it. This is leadership. I really like that. I like that in a fellow Toastmaster. You were describing mentoring experiences with grandmothers, coaches, and other folks in the stylist business. You were well thought out. That's what I thought. You were organized. You're following the project. This is really terrific, quite clear to follow. Vocal variety, there's always room for more of that around here. And eye contact, you're looking down a little bit. And you got the window behind you. So you got darkness on your face unless you move, and then the camera adjusts and I can see you, and then it goes back to dark again. So I think you got to either draw a shade or put your light up, because I want to stare deeply into your eyes when you're talking to me. Gestures, didn't see a bunch of gestures, but it's a trick to do them on this Zoom, but it can be done, can be. Well, you were looking at maybe notes and stuff. That's okay in level 2. We want you to look more, be aware of the audience, but we're all watching you. Nobody got up and went away. Nothing distracting happened. You do look comfy with us. And you got us interested. We're interested in your progress and mentoring and that kind of thing. So this is just a fine topic for all kind of Toastmasters like us. You might want to work on the faltering style, more flow with it, and that kind of good thing. And then, the challenge is this camera stuff. This Zoom is not going away. We're stuck with this for the rest of our lives. So, how to do this presence and stare at people and just really look at the camera and not your own face on it. I watch my own face too much. I'm just that way. And because mostly you want to make this a conversation, and you're good at this. Keep it up. I think you finished level 2 if you've done that evaluation of somebody else. I forget. We can look that up later. But hey, congratulations. I'll mail you your eval. Snail mail. Not yours. Yeah, right. Thank you, Kip Barkley, for that brilliant, clear, loving, and supportive evaluation. Now, to evaluate our second speaker, our very own.
Thank you. I was on mute. I'm sorry. Thank you for that.
Oh, yay. Oh, yay. I love praise. Okay. Now to evaluate our second speaker, Toastmaster Roosevelt Jean-Francois, is our very own and exciting Toastmaster Sean Walker. Oh.
Thank you for that, Mr. General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmaster, dignitary, and virtual guests. Let me just, and especially Roosevelt, let me just first point out the type of speech this was. This was an informative speech. Yes, it was very well organized. And that's what Toastmasters is built on, organization and structure. Roosevelt had 5 key structures that are in a speech. He had a title, he had an opening, he had a body where he made 3 main points. He had a summary, and he also had a closing. All great components of making an effective speech. Let's just talk a little bit about Roosevelt's speech. The title was Leading. He opened with a quote: effective leaders take you from where you are to where you want to go. And he had a name. Didn't catch that, but that was great, Roosevelt. But Roosevelt also did something that great speakers do. Roosevelt went to a visual PowerPoint presentation. Before he went to the PowerPoint presentation, it was already imprinted in my brain when he said, take you from where you are to where you want to go. What did he talk about in his speech? The first point he was talking about was effective leadership, putting people together, building a team. The second point he talked about was responsibility of leading the team. And he shared with us about him being a logistic manager and explained the personalities of the individuals that were a part of that team that he would build. The third point he made was team building. As the division director, he will work with the area directors. And in doing that, how did he accomplish these tasks in his life? Well, Kip Barkley was his mentor. He shared that with us. Also, he shared that Andy Burns is someone that he is modeling and wants to use as a role model to help him in his division director. And Andy having experience and being there, that is great information, Roosevelt, because if anybody wants to go anywhere, they have to have that mentor or that coach in their lives that have been where they're trying to go. Roosevelt summarized his whole speech, but he also closed. And this what made this speech so profound. He closed with a powerful, powerful closing. 2021, 22, will be a great year for effective leadership, sharing his position as Division B Director. Thank you, Roosevelt. You did an awesome job, wonderful speech. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I was transfixed with that fascinating evaluation. But we still have one more evaluation to go. Evaluating Kip Barkley is our guest, Deandre Dorsette. Take it away. Unmute.
Thank you so much. So after hearing this speech, I was inclined to agree with the words of Ira Glass when she said that great stories happen to people who can tell them. And distinguished Toastmaster Kip Barkley, I believe that you are one of those individuals who always have a great story to tell. And I think one of the characteristics of someone who can tell a good story are a few of the traits that you've displayed today. I love the fact that you utilize vocal variety. The vocal variety drew me in as a listening member. Here, I was drawn in, and most definitely by the sound effects. I was caught off guard by the sound of the rat. And for someone who's so afraid of it, I had to catch myself first, like, oh no, okay, I gotta remember I'm on Zoom, so I can't just jump up and leave. So I love it, I love it, I love it. I've never heard that before, especially when it came into telling stories like that. I love the hand gestures and the way that you did the waving. You mentioned something about your arm and you did that. So we could have seen that. And I think those are some of the things that kind of help the audience to stay alert because they're not sure what you're going to do next. Most definitely, I was so drawn in by the fact that you just utilized the audience members. That told me as a listening member that you knew the individuals and you knew where they would fit in perfectly because I saw a lot of heads nodding. I saw a lot of laughter. So you inserted that humor. Now, while we are doing those when it comes to the stories, I really, really love it. I do believe that you can challenge yourself by doing one or two things. And first, I would encourage you to slow down. Slow down, because sometimes with the words and especially with the sound effects that you were giving, oftentimes I could not differentiate between the words that you're saying and the sounds. So it would get lost in some of the translation, sorry. So we want to make sure that we do that so that everyone can stay. We don't want to miss a word of your speech. We don't want to miss a word of your story. So be mindful of that. I would also like to encourage you to possibly now challenge yourself to utilize the speech approach where you start off with the introduction of something and then you transition into the story as opposed to going straight into the story. Your body could have been that story, and then the conclusion, you can call us to action, call us and let us know what is the overall theme, what is the overall message, what is it that you want us to take away from all of this. All in all, I do appreciate the fact that you had great eye contact and you had great body language, great gestures, and I would like to leave you with this, the words of Maya Angelou. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. So I want to encourage you to continue to tell your stories, distinguished Toastmaster Barkley. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. On and aside from this, there will be Tall Tales at Early Bird tomorrow at 7 a.m. and Monday at Beacon Point. I'll send out notices. Let's see, I want to hear from my helpers. Mr. Timer, how did our people do?
Thank you for that, Mr. General Evaluator. Toastmaster Kip Barkley came in at 2:35. I don't have the time on me. I will ask Andy if you could report that. I saw you doing the timing session. My time was
3:30.
You made it.
right on
2:30.
time. And Toastmaster Dorsette was 2 minutes and 53 seconds. We're all within the required time frame. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator of the day.
Thank you so much. How about our grammarian? What does our grammarian have to say?
Oh, the grammarian today have to say all speeches were phenomenal. I heard the word of the day, aberrel. It was used, and I did not hear any untold or grammar that wasn't fit into the sentences. You all did tremendously well. And for our guests, and Deandre, you spoke very well. I like the way how you break down the KIP evaluation. I was trying to listen very keenly because I'm in the protege position right now. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. We also have a Zoom master who may have some observations on our technology. I'm curious if I had background noise. I have a wife up in the loft listening to her own program. I don't know whether you got it too. Mr. Zoom master, Andy?
Thank you very much. I will do the combination of Zoom Master and body language since we're running low on time.
Do that too.
All right. First off, we had a lot of interesting observations as one looks at everybody's screen. What I noticed, for example, is I'm not sure where Roosevelt's monitor is placed, but he kept looking up. I don't know whether he was receiving messages from God, but he was always looking up. And it's important when we're setting up our cameras that we set it up by level. Sometimes it requires putting your computer on a lift, several books, or a stand. And Kip, on the other hand, was looking down most of the time, looking down. I don't know whether he was reading an interesting book or what. Sean was perfect. He has his framing, as they said in the lecture for the annual meeting, in thirds. Think of your frame as thirds and cameras, and your eye should fall in that top third of the camera. Sometimes it requires changing, if you have the right program, changing the field of view for your picture. This, for example, is 78% view, and this is 65%. And so it brings you closer if you want to show the facial expressions more intently. It cuts you off and you have to be a little bit further back, but you can see your eyes and you can see your facial expressions. We did have some movement of facial expressions and other movements. Kip kept his arms in the frame, and Deandre probably could adjust her camera so that her head is in the top third of the frame as opposed to being tucked down in the bottom. There, much better, much better. So that's my report, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Excellent. Good meeting. We are pulling it off. We know how to do this. Let's get more people to come over and check this out. I would be curious if your technology thinks my speech was original or not. It came from a 20-second joke I heard 4 years ago and was greatly embellished, but we'll let the copyright lawyers deal with that. I give it back to our Toastmaster of the day, Roosevelt Jean-Francois.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kip Barclay. We had an amazing meeting. Madam, vote counter. If they don't vote, you vote for them. Just tell us who we have as our best speaker, best table topic speakers, and as well, best evaluator. There we go. This is the election poll that you are here, Andy?
Yeah, I just wanted to show that we're not going to spend time with it right now since we're right at the back of the meeting. But if you've not received the information, I did get a private message from Pat saying she would like to be considered for Sergeant at Arms since Hyvell has moved from Sergeant at Arms.
Will be business. That will be our business section. Why don't we conclude the meeting first?
Okay, it's up to you. You're in charge.
Yes, I am. Go ahead, Deandre.
Okay, first, would you like for me to do the counters report?
Yes, you don't just tell us one name that you decide.
Okay, so our winner for best speaker is Distinguished Toastmaster Roosevelt Jean-Francois. We have Best Table Topic Speaker, Distinguished Toastmaster Deandre Dorsette.
Yay, yay, yay.
And we have Best Evaluator, Toastmaster Sean Walker.
Yay, yay, yay.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Deandre Dorsette. You are here as our amazing, outstanding host guest today. Just tell us, how did you find the meeting?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed the meeting. I had a wonderful time. I love when there is quality and effective evaluations and quality meetings where you can take something away. So I must say that I look forward to another meeting, especially when I am free, when I could just jump off from class and come on in. So I just really love the meeting. So I will be back most definitely. Thank you for the invite and thank you for having me.
Thank you. And you will always be welcome. And if you are looking for a club in South Florida, Club Voice is your choice. And now we return back comment of the virtual lectern to our presiding officer, Sean Walker.
And thank you for that. Give our Toastmaster another round of applause. Awesome job, Roosevelt. And thank you again to Dr. Andy Burns for all these new features that we have on our Zoom program. I really, really do appreciate it. I think we had a wonderful meeting today. And you out there in the virtual world, you can have the same experience as well. We welcome you to join us and come back and visit us again. We have so much fun here at Club Voice, where we are the right choice. At this point in time, it is now 1:04. I will now conclude our meeting. Great job, everybody. Great job, speakers. Great job, participants, and great job, evaluators. We are now officially adjourned.